Daydreaming today.
What's up, everybody, and welcome to How Musicians Make It. My name's Evan. I'm your host. Today, we've got Billboard charting blues and roots artist Joyann Parker on the show, and we talk about her career, her approach to music making, and her experience booking festivals, being a woman in a male-dominated scene. We talk about a lot of important stuff, and Joyann's music is awesome, and it was really fun to talk to her. We actually got together in person this time, so it was a great time sitting in the Jazz Central space in Minneapolis and talking with Joyann. I mentioned on the last episode that the Mechanical Licensing Collective is suing Pandora, which I thought was an interesting storyline this week. And, there's been a whole bunch of stuff on Jazz Internet about the state of music students today, and talked a little bit about that on the last episode. So I appreciate you all tuning in and listening, and everybody that's finding the show that's new. Thank you for being here. You know, we talk about a lot of music industry stuff on this show, and it's called How Musicians Make It because we talk about the business side of music, but I also just talk to artists about their process, and that's a big part of making it too, is staying in touch with the thing that you love and continuing to grind away at it, even when everything looks dire, even when it looks like things aren't working, because the people who stay in the game the longest end up winning. That's what I've figured out. And we certainly get after that kind of stuff in the conversation with Joyann. I don't want to spend too much time talking because this interview with Joyann is really awesome. I know you're going to love it. Before we get to it, I want to tell you about an app that I've been working on for a really long time. It's called Gig Boss. Check it out. Gig Boss app is on iOS and Android. It's a way for you to organize your music career, either as a band leader. You want to get everybody on the same page, you can add them to a group and create events and then tag that group to the event, and everybody gets an invite and they can accept or decline, and then they see all the gig details. They can add stuff to their Google Calendar and all that good stuff. Or if you're a freelancer and you just want to keep track of the 7 or 8 bands that you play in, I was both of those things. I still am both of those things. For 10 years, I was just like playing in 12 bands and leading 5 bands, and it was just way too much. So that's why we developed this app, so that I could help me organize. We made it for me. We made it for me, so I need all the me's all over the world to check it out. Cool, that's it. Thank you so much for listening. Here's my interview with Joyann Parker.
And it's a long drive. I mean, that's a long drive for us just to go for one.
6.5 or something to the Porkies.
Yeah.
Yeah, bring in a Hancock. Let's do
That'd be fun.
friggin' Patsy Cline show.
Yeah. Great. Okay, cool.
Yeah. I want to, look, we might as well put this on the record. So, like, you do that tribute show. I've listened to a whole bunch of your original music. What kind of benefits do you find from doing a tribute show? Why do a tribute show? Do those people become fans? Like, that's all the kind of stuff I'm interested in.
Yeah, well, I started doing the tribute show because I loved Patsy Cline, not because I wanted to do a tribute show per se.
Okay, cool.
So it's something I'm passionate about. It's not just to do it. And it's not like a tribute show. It's like, I'm not trying to be her, you know? I'm not copying her in any way. I am telling her story. Is one of the cool things about that show is I tell a story in between, and people really love that. It's amazing how much they love the history.
Cool.
Everybody comments on it. Oh, I love that story. I didn't know that about her. And it really added to the song now, and I like that song more because I know that story. And so it's really it was more of a passion project, which is why I can keep doing it and why I've done it this long, because it'll be 6 years. And I always say, every year that goes by, I say, I didn't think I'd do it 6 times, because I did it. I always use the year number for how many times I thought I'd do this show, because I didn't. It just kept selling out, and so we just kept doing it. But yeah, we find that, especially in new markets, you go in with a show like that has name recognition, right? And people are, especially at performing arts centers and things where they're looking for their season, right? And they're going, well, I'm going to go to this show. Otherwise, if it just says Joyann Parker, well, who's that, right? They got to know, I don't know if you're going to get that immediate ticket. Oh, Patsy Cline. Okay, I love Patsy Cline. And then they come see us and they love me. And then, yes, it has really gotten us fans for the other things we do.
Wow.
Pays the bills, right? It gets you some money to make your original music because, as we know, that's not making much money for any of us.
Yes.
So because what we're getting paid on Spotify or whatever, so it helps get us money to just make it, and it does convert because, again, if I was trying to sound like her, that would be different, I think, because I'm being me. They hear me and they go, oh, wow, I really love her. I love her voice. I love her style. I love what she's doing. I want to see what else she's doing. And they show up for the other stuff.
Yeah. So storytelling, I feel like, is a really important aspect. And I think a lot about this with playing my original music, that just like telling a story is a powerful way to bring people into the music. And you're having that same experience with Patsy Cline's music. Like I like that idea of like having, it's almost theatrical, almost like having a narrator or something for a show. Like I did a show about George Gershwin, and there was like a narrator that kind of played George Gershwin, and then we played a bunch of George Gershwin's music, and it just made the whole like absorbing the George Gershwin music thing.
It's an experience now.
Much more experiential.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I just started a new one called Classic Ladies of Country, and we just did it this weekend, and the crowd went bananas. They loved it. I tell the story in a way where they kind of have to guess who the artist is going to be. So I tell the story and then kind of grab them, and they're going, who is it? And then we do the song, and they're like, oh, it was, Tammy Wynette or whatever. And but it grabs them. But that's what I'm doing with my own music, right? Is telling my story, because that's what my music is about. I'm not just singing pop ditties that don't mean anything. These are all stories, either my own or something I've gotten from somewhere else. And I do that at my own shows. I tell my story. I tell the whys behind the song. And so, yeah, it was very natural. I think people get that. That's why they love it. It doesn't feel forced. We're all passionate about what we're doing. The guys love it still. I made a joke the other day. I said, no, these guys just do what I tell them or something. They work for me and they do it. And Chris said, no, we love this. so it's good. It's nice to have
That's
that.
Chris Bates, right? Chris Bates playing bass with you now?
Yeah.
Yeah, cool. And you've had a long-time collaborator is it Mark?
Mark Lemoyne, yeah.
Guitar?
Yeah.
Cool. How long has that relationship been?
11 years.
11 years?
Yeah.
Wow. And so looking at your discography, it's like, it seems like 2018 was that your first record and you started?
Yeah, so we were in a band together called Sweet Tea at first, and it was more of a cover band. And then I started writing, went to Joyann Parker and Sweet Tea. That band disintegrated. Mark and I stuck together. And Tim Wick is my keyboard player, and he kind of came in at the end of that Sweet Tea thing. And so he kind of came along for the ride then. And we've been together a long time now too, and the rest of the guys just within. Chris is the new guy, and it was a little over a year.
Yeah, Chris is such a great vibe.
Yeah,
just really positive.
He was really the I always call him the missing link. It really was, because we've had these same people right now for. Everybody else has been around for 4 or 5 years.
Yeah. We
used to working together, and then I never had a stable bass player. And then Chris was just a sub, and here we are. And he just clicked. It just was like, this is the guy. And Chris helps me a lot because of, his training and things. And, he can help me back here. I don't have to worry. I can say, can you handle this, and I got it, and I can just let it go, which is so nice for me.
Cool.
As a band leader, I don't have to constantly be music directing, right? Like, okay, because there's so many things when you're singing and leading and going through, I'm trying to play guitar.
Can't be worried. Yeah.
Yeah. So that's nice. So now I've got just a good thing going on stage, and I don't have to think so much, which is great.
So are you you've been with Mark 11 years? Are you writing together? Like, what's that workflow process like?
Not so much. We wrote a couple things together at the beginning. He's written a few of his own tunes here. I'll kind of throw things at him. Most of the stuff I've been writing the last few years has been just me. I have notebooks full of things.
Cool.
I bounce things off of him. I bounce a lot of things off of Kevin Bowe, our producer. I send him a lot of stuff, and she said, "What do you think?" And but most things are coming out of my own brain in the last few years. Mm-hmm. So musically, I like to have a vibe, a bass line, a hook, and of course the melody of the song, and then take it to the guys and just play it and see what we come up with, which is great. Because then I want that, because I love everybody putting their own spin on things.
Yeah.
you know, and then I'll say, I don't know about that. Well, try something else. Okay, great. Let's try something else. And then eventually it just go, oh yeah, it'll click. So,
There it is.
Yeah. So basically there's a skeleton of a song and then we just kind of fill it in, which is it's really fun. And I think people feel good about that. They get to be themselves
Yeah.
on it, which is why you want a band, right? I mean,
Definitely.
you have 6 people who play together all the time is abnormal nowadays. You know, there's
That
not
is
a lot
abnormal.
of bands, right? It's
Yeah.
normally like, especially in the blues world, you know,
Sure.
which I'm more Americana now at this point, but where I come from in the blues world is a lot of times a person, right? Like Joyann Parker, and then you
Yeah.
fill in around
Right.
that person.
Band
with
members can
pickups.
be kind of anybody pickups.
Yeah.
Yeah. So having a band. So how that's been consistent for how long?
Like a while. I would say Mark and Tim and I have been together for. Tim's been around for like 9 years,
Yeah.
8 or 9
Wow.
years, and then I think the other guy 5 and 6.
Cool.
Yeah. So I mean, we like each other. Everybody's a good human being.
Yeah.
I don't know if it's B.B. King who said, you know, that quote about, I think there's attributed to many people, but about,
Sure.
you know, most man, you know, 75% musician or whatever, 75% man and 25% musician. I don't know what it is. It's some quote about, give me a good man, right?
Yeah.
It's great if they can play, but I want a good person,
Yeah.
you know?
Man, I think about that a lot. Like I was just talking to Scott about this with my orchestra in the early days. I tried to get like the best players, you know, and it just became like such a pain in the ass to try and get them and keep them excited about the music and
Yeah.
like, you know, some of them will be like, well, usually when I do this kind of stuff, like I get, and I'm like, well, dude, this is an 18-piece band. It's my original music. Like, it's really not about you. It's about me, and I want really good players to do it.
Yeah.
And so I just had to go like, I want people who want to be there
Yeah.
more than like, wow, they're a wildly impressive player. And that for a lot of the players in my band did come. Like we
Yeah.
were all developing. We were young at the time.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, you know, it's like I very much preferred to have somebody who like really had the excitement behind the thing.
You need that because you're
Yeah.
not getting paid millions of dollars, right? You're
Right.
creating something.
Yeah.
And you need people who get that. And so when you don't, and there's always that person who's like kind of you're just doing this with, right? You're kind of button heads and
Yes.
and it's stopping you because now I'm worried about them. Now I'm going, oh, is so and so going to be? Oh, I got to worry about this, you know.
Yeah.
Keeping them happy
Yeah.
when exactly what you said is true. I'm doing this and I want you here, but if you don't want to be here, it's not going to work.
Yeah. Like, come on.
Yeah. And then so these guys get that and it's so great. And
That's
I'm
cool.
so blessed. And people just are like, wow, I'm really blessed to have these guys who support me and lift me up. And it is abnormal. But
Yeah.
I was laughing about what you said because I've heard that so many times.
Yeah. I mean, it's so
It's
real.
the same lines. Is there a book or something that they read?
Yeah, right. It's experience. It's just that once you're in it for a long time, it's like that's the experience of this thing.
Yeah.
It's like, you know,
And you grow together,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
I mean, then you start to sound like yourself too.
totally. The thing takes on a personality. Mm-hmm. Yeah, which is really important.
Yeah.
If you're going to do original music, especially, it's like you need to have something that.
That's why I didn't
That's
want all
potent.
those subs coming in all the time. It's really hard.
Yeah.
You can find it, and sometimes it's fun, right? To get a new guy, and then they kind of might inject something in,
Sure.
right? And you go, oh, that was cool. They might get inspired.
Is Tim, like organ player?
Organ and
Did
piano.
he play the acoustic piano stuff on the new record?
Yes,
It's beautiful.
I did a little bit of that on the
Cool.
certain
Because so you're
songs.
classically trained.
Yes. Yeah.
What? Tell me about that. Like growing up, you got a song on the new record, "Scotty Girl." You're a Wisconsin girl. You talk about being from a rural town in Wisconsin. What was it like growing up in that town? How'd you find the blues?
Not till about 11 years ago. So that's how Mark and I met, actually. We were in that first band. I had never heard blues. I always say my extent of blues knowledge was Eric Clapton and Deep Purple because my
Sure.
uncle had those records.
Yeah,
so
yeah.
that was about all I really knew. I grew up with country, 90s country,
Okay.
and classic rock.
Tim
you know?
McGraw and
Yeah.
stuff.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
I listened
And-
to some Tim McGraw back in the 90s.
yeah, Martina McBride. I loved
Yeah.
Martina McBride because I loved her voice. Heart, lots of 80s and
Yeah.
stuff, all that stuff. So I didn't know anything about blues, really. Aretha Franklin was probably the closest I knew to anything.
Sure. It's a
And
big
actually, I
starting point.
I did a contest, like one of those singing contests where they just get you to come back for like 4 weeks in a row and then get your friends to come in the restaurant, makes a whole bunch of money. And
Sure, yeah.
right? And you wait around for 4 hours. That's what I did. But I ended up winning that.
Cool.
And I had a guy ask me afterwards if I would like to join his friend's band. That was going to be this blues band because I sang Chain of Fools. He heard me sing that and he went, oh, wow, this would be perfect, right?
Cool.
Joined that band, learned a lot of blues covers.
How old are you at this point?
So I'm 34.
Okay. So is this like you've started a family and like you're doing that thing?
Yep, my son was 2.
Okay.
2 or 3. Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. And so I'd always wanted to be in a band, and I was in a wedding band and stuff for a little bit, playing trumpet and,
Trumpet?
Yeah, I'm a trumpet player too.
Cool. I did not know that. Wow.
Yeah. That's what I went to college to be a band director. They let me major in piano, but I had to do all the trumpet stuff. I am not a jazz player, though. I was laughing with Chris one day because I told him like Karen Quinn was my jazz.
Oh yeah, Karen.
Yeah.
I played with Karen.
Yeah.
She's great.
She's great. She was my jazz director, though.
Sure.
She would call on people to improvise, and I would tie my shoe every time because I'm like, I have no idea what these triangles mean or these minus. I don't know what any of this stuff is. Okay, I'm just here for the credit. So anyway, but where was I? So I had to learn some blues stuff, and the guitar player that we had at the time moved to Nashville, and then Mark just got in the band by audition.
Okay.
But he ran a blues jam at Shaw's and out the Blues Saloon. And he said, you should play guitar too, because you need another voice, because I'd never played guitar before. And I said, okay, I'll try. He gave me a guitar, started going to the blues jams. I committed to going at least once a week for a year.
Wow, cool.
And a lot of times I went twice. I went Monday and Tuesday.
Yeah.
And my poor husband, I would get home at 2 a.m. or whatever every Monday night. Thank you, honey. But that's where I learned Jimmy Primetime and all those guys. They knew that I wanted to learn the blues, so they were kind of hard on me. Sure. They a lot of people go and they're just like, whatever, come in and play the same thing every week. I didn't want to do that.
Yep. I
actually wanted to learn.
Yeah.
And so they would yell at me and stuff. And I played drums a little bit. So I'd play drums.
Cool.
And they would yell at me about, my shuffle and,
Sure.
But that all helped with my guitar playing.
Hell
right?
yeah.
The feel.
It's not unlike the jazz jam scene where like people will, it's maybe a little bit darker in the jazz jam scene because people will vibe the shit out of you sometimes, depending on where you are in the country. And it can feel real bad.
Oh,
but it's also like a massive motivating factor to like go shed, get better.
Well, I would cry sometimes, but you know what? They really respected me when I came back the next week.
Yeah.
Because she's back. Okay.
Sticking with it.
And now, it's so totally different because look at you go. But that's I wanted to understand blues. Yeah. That's me. I want context. I want to know where it came from. I want to know why it came to be because I want to respect it.
Yeah.
And I wanted to learn the rules before I broke them. Mm-hmm. And I really want people to know, I want the African American community to understand that I get it, right? Because it's important.
Yeah.
It's really important to understand the history of the blues.
100%.
And to know that it did not come from me.
Yep.
So that was really important to me. So I did that, hung out with those guys, and started playing guitar. And it just kind of went from there. And Mark led those jams, and I went to Memphis for the blues competition with the band.
Yeah.
And I went to Stax, and I went, where has this music been all my life? This is what I love, right?
Cool.
That's soul music. That's really where
That's so interesting that you go from classical piano major.
Yeah.
In the bands and stuff. Did you do band directing before?
I did. I got to teach for 3 years.
Okay.
I couldn't find a job. I was a recession when I got out of college, and so I did other school stuff, but not teach. And so I taught
2008?
I graduated in 2001.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So it was just not great for anything at that point when I got up here. So I worked at Hertz at the airport for a while and did a bunch of other junk,
Wow.
And then I got to teach for 3 years. And then I did church music.
Okay.
After that, when I got pregnant and had my kids, kids came to work with me, didn't have to do daycare and that kind of stuff. And
cool.
I had done church music forever. My mom was the church music director growing up. So I had that. I had that background too, right? Blues people usually have a church background too.
Definitely, yeah.
So that's why the Aretha stuff always resonated with me too. And so it was kind of all there for me. it just didn't know it. And my uncle he had a huge record collection and all this stuff. And so I heard all kinds of music growing up from him. Because he was a bachelor and hung out with him. We'd go on road trips and he'd play Traveling Wilburys and, all these things. And so I was just sucking it all in.
Sure.
So when this finally came around, I went, oh, now I can use all this stuff. I'm going to write songs. I was at a jam one night and there's a blues artist. He's from up north someplace and he's blind. He's legally blind. And I had just sung I'd Rather Go Blind, actually, at a James. And he found me and he comes over and he goes, do you write songs? And I said, no, I've never written a song in my life. And he said, why not? And I said, I don't know, I can't. And he goes, are you kidding me? You're a woman. Write some songs. Women have stuff to write about. Go write.
There you go.
And I went, oh, okay. And I think I went home and the next day I wrote a song because he empowered me.
Cool.
Somebody said, you can do this. And I went, can I? Okay. And then I started writing. So then all of these things bubbled up and I was able to just kind of use them. And now I do even more because then I felt like I needed to be in a box, kind of like write blues music, like quote unquote blues music.
Right.
They're still good songs, but now I don't care what they come out as. I just write. And
you say you're kind of drifting more in the Americana realm.
Yeah.
I mean, you're on the blues Billboard charts, right?
Yeah.
Like right now for the new record.
Yeah. Well, yeah, it was. Yeah, when it came out. There's blues on there, but I do so many different things, right? There's a straight up bluegrass song on that record,
right? Yep.
So I think Americana's very accepting of all of the things, right? Mavis Staples is considered Americana.
Yeah.
There's not a lot of place in this is a whole other podcast we could do about the state of the blues right now.
Sure.
Because it's weird. It's I actually think there's more blues in the Americana world than there is in the blues world right now.
Interesting. Genre is such a silly thing, really.
Yeah.
It's like so much of it's connected and like festivals like blues festival, jazz festivals, like there's like Blink 182 playing at the jazz festival. Like, what's going on here?
I know. It's just what's going to make money, right? And
sure,
that's kind of what's going on in the blues world right now too, is like, but it's actually, just as a side note, the blues Billboard chart used to report 15 and now they only are reporting 10, top 10, which is not a good sign because that means there's not enough to even make it. There's less. Yeah.
Interesting.
Yeah. So again, that's a whole rabbit hole.
Yeah. So you're in that festival circuit, right? You're doing a lot of festivals. At least I see stuff around the Midwest.
Yeah, Midwest. It's hard to break in because there's one major booking agency, and usually what happens is the festival people just kind of go, oh, yeah, we want this person. So then you get these other six people you got to take with them, and then they don't look for new people.
Yeah, they're not even looking.
No, because it takes work. And frankly, again, another rabbit hole to go down is the women. We have about 15% of the festivals are women. 15% of the acts are women.
Yeah.
And it's,
Bummer.
I mean, it's crazy at this point in time.
Yes.
And I get these excuses like, well, we couldn't find any. Wait, what? Then you're not looking because we're here.
Right.
It's just like the same thing with black blues artists. Mm-hmm. Well, where are they? Oh, well, you couldn't find any? Because you know what? I'm toiling up here in the Midwest. Go down to Mississippi because I'm guessing there's people down there that are toiling just like me that are really great and you can find them. But
yes,
it's do you want to?
It takes intentionality. Yeah, you have to be intentional.
Yeah.
And so it's like anything. If any of this is going to change, people are going to have to be intentional about it. Mm-hmm. And not just go, I had this package of artists from this label and now I'm going to put these people on the festival and that's going to be that. Yeah. I see that all the time with jazz festivals, universities and high schools when they bring in multiple artists and it's just like all white dudes. And it's like, this makes me feel uncomfortable if I'm on that bill. I'm like, man, this doesn't look right. It's like, this isn't like you're saying, like understanding what my place is in the thing and that it didn't come from my lineage, it's like I studied all black artists and like, emulate black artists in my playing and my writing. This is like, there's got to be some level of like, everyone's got to buckle down and go, all right, let's make sure that we're representing everybody in these things. Yeah. Yeah. I know it's frustrating. So do you have a booking agent or do you do everything yourself?
I do not. I do it myself.
Wow. Do you use like a pseudonym or you just do it as Joyann Parker?
I've been doing it as Joyann Parker up until now. People have said, "Oh, we'll try that." Well, Mark just retired from his day job, so he's going to start helping a little bit booking now that he's got more time. But there's been a few developments here in the last couple months, so we'll see. I don't know.
Yeah.
I also don't want the wrong fit. Again, it's the same with the band members, right? Like I've heard so many horror stories from people too. I've done my work. I've asked other women who are successful, and I've just said, hey, can we talk and tell me? I want to know. And so I'm too old to go through that. I'm 45.
Sure. Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like I don't, and I've paid a bunch of dues for the last 10 years. I've worked my tail off. And so I'm smart, and I also know my boundaries. I still got 2 kids at home that I homeschool. I'm not
homeschooling. Wow.
Yeah.
It's a lot.
So they're important to me, and so. But I also know that I'm willing to do. I'm here, right? I do go out on tour. I'm going leaving next week. We're going for 2 weeks. So,
cool. Where are you
going? Nashville. We've got 3 gigs in Nashville,
awesome.
And then we've got a few gigs in Florida.
Cool.
Just as the duo.
Yeah. Fun.
It's cheaper
Definitely.
to travel right now as a duo. So
definitely.
Yeah.
Do you guys like rent a vehicle? You take your own?
We take our own vehicle. We just bring everything. We got to bring all the PA and everything. But we do have a cool gig at WMOT is the main Roots radio network in Nashville, and we're doing they have a Friday afternoon. It's not an in studio. It's actually at 3rd and Lindsley, which was one of the great clubs in Nashville. And so we're doing a showcase.
But they do it live?
They do it
on
live
the air at the venue?
Air. Yeah.
Cool.
Yeah. So I'm excited for that because that's a pretty big deal because that was a pretty... It's in the Americana world, that's a huge radio station. So that's exciting. So I'm planning on going to Americana Fest also in the fall and see if we can get something going on that side of it.
Yeah. So you mentioned that when you started, I don't remember if you said your kid was 2 when you started doing
2,
stuff.
my,
Like 34?
my youngest. Yeah.
Jan and I have 2 kids. We're both musicians. We think a lot about how to balance being parents that are involved, and you're homeschooling, so that's like wildly involved.
Yes.
How has that balance been for you?
I wasn't very good at it at first. I mean, I'll admit that. I think when I started, because it was all so new to me, I kind of got carried away in the shoulds, right? Oh, you should look like this. You should do this many gigs. You should get, you know what I mean?
Yep.
And so I actually, excuse me, I actually had to apologize to my husband in the last year. And I just went, I'm really sorry because I kind of just went, woo, and felt like when I look back, and I was probably gone too long. My kids were really little. So and it wasn't good for me. I was exhausted. And I was just chasing, right? And probably chasing the wrong thing. When I turned 40, I really had a wake up. I stopped caring about what everybody thought about me. It was so weird.
Janet had the same thing when she turned 40.
Yeah.
We talked about that.
Yeah, people
She's
around
like,
me
I just say things now. I don't care.
I know.
She's like,
it's like something clicks in you.
Yeah, that's interesting.
Yeah.
I'll be 40 in May. Or in August, I mean.
Okay.
So.
Well, I look forward to you getting your epiphany as well. It's very freeing. It's funny because people kept telling me, you're not going to care. You're just going to... And I thought, what? I'm going to wake up in the morning and I'm just going to be a different person. And actually that day, I think it was the same day, John Bream did my first big spread on me, and it was my 40th birthday, and I felt so validated at the same time, right? Like I went, oh my gosh, this hasn't been for nothing. Look at me. Look at this.
Yeah, I did that.
Yeah. And also now I'm 40 and I don't care anymore. I'm just going to do me. I'm going to do what's best for me and my family and find the right people to support that. And thank God, I mean, like I said, he's really blessed me with these people. They've just come around me and I'm able to just be me now. Yeah. And so I feel much better at that balance thing than I was before because I'm not chasing the wrong things. Right. You know,
but it's almost like you have to chase the wrong things to know what the right things to chase are.
That's true.
It's like you put in that time and you look back and you go like, but also it's like that's the grind. It's like you learn as you go. How could you know until you know?
That's true.
You know, it's like
I wish I would have been better about not taking everything, though.
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah.
when I first started, it was like, oh, yeah, somebody offered you a gig, take it. You know what I mean? Like,
Right.
$100, okay, good. You know, it's
Totally.
just valuing myself a little better. That was what I wish I would have been better at.
Yeah.
Setting the bar a little
And
higher.
I feel like that's easier. Like, you got started at 34. Like, that's easier when you're 20, 17. It's like, yeah, you say yes to everything because you need that experience.
Yep.
And there's less consequences for that.
Right.
You know, it's like there aren't the, like, I have to pay my mortgage. I have to,
right.
kind of questions that we have to answer as adults, you know? It's
Yeah.
interesting.
Yeah. But on the other side, I have to take it because I have to pay my bills. So just take everything. You know what I mean? Instead
Totally.
of kind of waiting to
I mean,
just...
that's what I was playing full time here, and it was Augie was like just born, and I was doing 6-week tours, and like it was tough. It was like really tough to do that and be gone for that long, and tough on Jana, you know. And her band didn't play as frequently, which was tough too. It's just like it was a lot.
Yeah.
To have to go yes. I started finally saying no. I've said this on the podcast before, but I started getting called for funeral gigs a lot. It was like right after my dad died, and that was the first time I drew a line when I went like, please don't call me for these gigs anymore. I don't want to play funeral gigs anymore. Even though like New Orleans music is this wonderful thing that I love, and it's kind of born in funeral music. It's like, I don't want to be a part of that. I'm grieving with this other thing. You know what I mean? It's like, that was the first time I drew a line. And I'm still bad at drawing lines. I'm still a yes man for the most part.
Well, let's see. 40's coming.
Yeah, right. That's it. That's it.
And I'll be like, no,
Yeah.
not taking that.
You know, like listening to your records, there you talked about writing, and I want to talk about "Wash It Away." That song stood out to me. It's not the title track of your record, you know. It's not one of the more upbeat tunes on the record, but the lyrics in that record are on that recording are super heavy. You know, you're talking about burying your sins and choking on the dirt, and you know, like you have to live with the mistakes you made. You're eating up inside from the lies you've told, like all this stuff. How much of it's like great, like super, like it also felt the way you sang it, like it's like there's a real emotional connection to the lyrics. So I wanted to ask, like, where does a song like that come from? Are you drawing on real life experiences with that stuff?
There's always a piece of me that has to resonate with what I write, so I can sing it like that. So always in anything, there's something there, right? That either parallels or is something from my life.
Yeah.
A lot of bad relationships in my life in the past, right? I've been married for 20 years, but before that, just lots of bad decisions, right?
Sure.
And so a lot of my writing comes from me channeling something from back there. Also been doing a lot of healing over the last 5 years of just finding those things, right? And going, I always envision roots. That's why I went to roots, because the roots are of you. Like whatever you have growing up here now, whatever I have, whoever I am, comes from what got planted, right? So if there's something bad there, finding the root and pulling that out, right? Weeding those things out. That's kind of what I've been doing over the last 5 years. Just like, I don't like this about myself. Where did that come from? That inspires a lot of songwriting, because when you're going back and going, oh, that's icky, but then facing it and then getting rid of it. So, and then I might not write about that again, because it might be gone, right?
Sure.
So a lot of the earlier songs are kind of about the same destructive relationship, because I hadn't gotten rid of that yet. And so I think that one is just failed relationships. I think it come from not even romantic ones, right? But just anything that you've done that you have tried everything to make work.
Yeah.
Even the lying, right? Even the whatever you've done that's felt like you needed to do to make that work or to save it. And you can't.
Yeah.
And you've screwed up a whole bunch. It's like a conglomeration of different things, right? And put into one song. But just times in your life when you feel like, oh my gosh, I really messed that up. And now I have this left. And I have to deal with that, whatever it is.
Right.
I don't know if that makes sense, but and just the pain of that, right? And sometimes it doesn't go away.
Lock the door, the pain's gonna come.
Right, yeah. Like you just have to deal with it. And what are you going to do with that? The song doesn't get to the positive part of it, right? What I'm going through now, which is, okay, now we weed it out and we deal with it, we get rid of it. That's just when you're wallowing in it and you're like, I can't get rid of this. And it just hurts so much.
Yeah. And that feels quintessentially blues to me too, even though the tune isn't necessarily.
It's gospel.
Yeah.
Which I think is blues, right? But yeah, I think that's why my songs are stories, but also I think that you can find something in them that you can relate to, in your situation. That's why I don't always like telling the stories of my songs specifically too, because I want people to go, oh, that's about me.
What does it mean for me? Yeah, totally. That's a gift to like write something that is both really personal and also relatable,
Yeah.
That's cool.
Yeah.
I've definitely was feeling that.
Yeah.
Listening to that song.
Well, thanks for paying attention to the lyrics. I love when people talk about my lyrics because I everybody always wants to talk about my voice, and that's great. But like, what did you hear the lyrics?
Yeah.
Because that's what I spend most of my time
on.
Well,
your voice is definitely the first thing that hits you. I mean, it's like this big, amazing, bombastic
thanks.
voice.
Yeah.
So I can understand why that would be distracting.
Yes.
but it's like, it's great that you could peel back the layers and go like, oh, there's also this other, this like deeper layer to this than just like, she's a good singer. It's like, oh, there's a lot of cool things happening here.
Yeah. Yeah. Yep. I think that idea of the dirt, I was thinking like, you try and it's that roots thing again too. You're burying it, right? You're just covering it up. I felt like in my life, I was just constantly covering stuff up and trying to plant more stuff on bad soil. You know what I mean? Like there's dead stuff under there, right? And you have to get that stuff out. So that's kind of what that's all about. It's just the stuff that I've been going through and trying to make myself a better person over the last few years.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Are you strategically doing anything to build numbers on Spotify, on YouTube? Seems like your YouTube presence is pretty strong. Like you make music videos, first of all, which like a lot of artists don't do anymore. It seems like you've got a lot of engagement happening there and people that dig your music.
Yeah. I did hire somebody to promote the video this last time. I've hired him a couple other times before.
Cool.
So yeah, I think we're almost at 10K. Which is good.
For Roots, yeah.
For the last one, for Scotty Girl.
Oh, for Scotty Girl.
Yeah.
Yeah, that one's, I think, at 15 now or something.
Is it? Oh, okay, good.
I mean, it looks like it's hitting. And I did think, like, I have a buddy who did a Wisconsin-type song, and it's like a polka thing.
Yeah.
And he's like a jazz player and a beat maker in LA, and he did this like He's from Wisconsin.
Yeah.
And it's just like millions of views on YouTube. It's like his one thing that like blew up.
I know. Well, got a little peak of interest from the Badgers yesterday. So yeah. So we'll see.
Come on. That chorus hits hard.
Yeah.
I mean, that's a cool chorus.
Yeah. Well, we did it in Hayward this weekend, and I mean, everybody wanted to hear it. We're doing this classic lady show, and they were like, Scotty Girl.
Yeah.
And so I'm like, okay, you guys want to hear Scotty Girl? You got to say the Bears still suck really loud, though. I mean, people love it. They love it. It's an anthem. So we'll see. But that one was easy to kind of market to the Packers and that kind of. So that took off.
Did you work on making those connections?
I did. I was in Hawaii with my husband, and I said, I am so sorry. I have to work this morning because I had to go. I paid for the blue check on Twitter so I could message people.
Yeah.
Or X,
okay.
whatever the heck it is. Anyway, formerly known as.
Yep.
And just started sending it to all the Packers influencers I could. And a few of them reposted it. Got on KFan in the morning over here for the Packer Report because Mark was like, let's get that. He did that. He wrote to Dan, the guy who hosts it, and he said, yeah, we'll play it as a bumper. And 2 days in a row, they played it and mentioned my name. So that one, I was like, that's what it's kind of like the Patsy show, right? Like market where you can get people hooked on your voice and then reel them in, because then other people are like, oh wow, you're really good. Oh, I had to go on.
What else does she do?
Yeah.
Let's go look at her YouTube channel. Let's go follow her on Spotify.
And I made a TikTok. I'm really.
Oh yeah, I didn't look on TikTok for you. I'm sorry. I should have done that.
Please don't. I'm not. It's hardly there. No, you can go follow me. I'll do. It's hard when nobody's paying attention. It's like, why am I here?
Sure. But TikTok's wild. Like, you could make one video and all of a sudden it just hits the thing and you get hundreds of thousands, millions of views on.
I know.
It could be you like singing along to your own song in the car or something.
Yeah, the lip syncing thing drives me crazy.
Yeah. But that's such a huge, like, it's wild. It's like people push. Anyway, what I've seen looking into this is that that will happen with a song, or like a trend will happen with a song, and other people will make videos using that song, and then the Spotify will blow up. You know, it's like it transfers to that, and then it can be something that you can build on as an independent artist and go like, okay, now I've got whatever, 400,000 monthly listeners.
I just don't have time to do all these things. It's so much.
I'm impressed hearing that you're sending messages to people at the Badger Stadium, to Wisconsin influencers, to sports influencers. Like, that's a grind. Like doing that kind of work.
It was a lot of work. It was right. It came out in a perfect time. It was right before the Bears game, right before the Packers-Bears game.
Yeah. Okay.
So I went, I got to get this out. I called my video producer. I said, can you make me a reel of just the Bears still suck part? And he said, yeah. And so he made this montage of the Bears still suck, like all these angles. He's like, is this too much? I said, no, it's perfect. Let's go.
This is
so
it.
I just sent it because there's literally an influencer whose thing is the Bears still suck. And I'm like, Matt, here you go. And he did. He reposted it. So I got a bunch of stuff from that. So yeah, it's just social media is just, I just want to sing. I just want to sing.
I
and
know.
write music.
It's such an interesting place that we all find ourselves in right now, where it's like, we're making potent music that connects with people in person, but there's this entire world of people that spend almost all their time on the internet.
I know.
And it's like, historically, I've thought about this historically in the jazz thing too. Musicians go to where the people are, and like Miles Davis was like that. Miles was like, he noticed that all these people were playing college shows in the 1960s, and he went to his promoter and he was like, why the hell aren't I playing all these college shows? And he's like, well, young people don't want to hear the music you're playing. And he said, all right. And he changed the way he dressed, and he changed the music that he played, and he started by the end of a couple of years, he was playing the Isle of Wight Festival for 100,000 people,
Yeah.
But it was like, he went to where the people were. It's like, well, I have to go to, like, if this is a thing where there's lots of people there, and in a lot of ways, like, that's TikTok, that's Instagram Reels,
Yeah.
which is such a depressing.
I know.
Like, I was just telling somebody last night, because I was hanging at the Jazz Jam at Whitey's, and like, I was like, I just love to perform. I'd love to be in front of people. That's really how I want to spend my time.
Yeah.
And so much bullshit is like doing the internet thing and trying to build. And some of it works without, it's like the YouTube thing is like, for me, like I have this educational material on trumpet, and I've always enjoyed teaching trumpet, but like, this is not what I want to be doing. And it's the shit that's popping off without me trying.
Yeah.
So it's like, I should, like inside I'm like, God, I should be making these videos all the time because it's actually working.
Yeah.
And I actually make some money on YouTube, monetizing YouTube, like unlike Spotify streaming and Apple Music streaming, you know? It's like I should, but it's like you said, it's all the shoulds. Like I should be doing this, I should be doing that, I should be doing that. It's like, what do I actually have mental bandwidth for and time?
And it's not fulfilling.
It's not fulfilling.
You've got to get something that fills you back up.
Yeah.
I know. Just setting the stupid camera up and stuff, I get all mad. It's such a pain, and then the kids will come down and go, Mom, what are you making for dinner? I mean, in the middle of a video that finally is working. So, it's hard. Just back to the question you asked, I was thinking, I did hire a guy to help with Spotify when the record came out.
Okay.
It did well for a while, so I'm up a little bit. It goes way up and then it comes back down.
Yep.
So I'm above where I was, but again, Spotify. I mean, what? It's such a pain because you're not making any money from it.
Yeah.
So really, I don't know. I don't know.
That's a problem that needs fixing, and I don't even know. Like, I just did an episode of this on the podcast that essentially says like, major labels still basically run everything. Spotify only does as much as the record labels let them do, which is why they tried to get Joe Rogan on there, because they're trying to get out from underneath the major label. Yeah. Because they have to pay all the, like a massive percentage of their profits, 60% of their profits go to the labels.
Right.
So it's like we like to hate on Spotify, and I do very much, in the sense that it's very hard for people like us to make money on there. When like, I just sold 20 CDs in Bismarck the other night and made $200, and I was like, there's $200 in cash from selling CDs.
And people are still buying CDs. Isn't it crazy?
Yeah.
I sold $1,000 worth of merchandise this last weekend.
Sick.
In northern Wisconsin.
Yep.
People are still buying CDs.
I wonder if places like northern Wisconsin, like in Bismarck, North Dakota, where I was, I wonder if CDs are a bit more common. If if people trend older, if they maybe drive cars that are a little older that still have CD players, or if it's just people still want to support artists and they want to have something
take something
physical.
home, right? Yeah. You can sign it.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah. I did an album release party in 2018 and did 1,100 in merch at that party. And did it at the Parkway Theater. And it was like I would have easily lost money had I not had that as a piece of the puzzle,
Yeah.
you know. So it's like the merch game is so important. What do you do? Like, what you have CDs? What do you have?
Just
other stuff?
CDs, T-shirts, koozies.
Yeah.
If you do your T-shirts at $25, that koozie's that extra $5, $30. You know what I mean? It's get them to round up.
Definitely.
Just that's about it. I have not ventured. I'm gonna try and get some hats, I think, this year. But it's again, you have to invest so much money up front to get that stuff.
Well, now there's you have to do it online though. It's like the print on demand stuff.
Yeah.
You know,
But then
which
you
I
can't take it on
experimented
tour
with, but you
with
can't
you.
take it on tour with you. You have to pay that money up front for tours. Yeah, Youngblood would like borrow, $10,000 from one of the parents of one of the people in the band and buy all the merch and then pay it back at the end of the tour. You know, that's how they always did it.
Yeah. Oh my gosh.
But we would do, it's like a 10-piece band doing big club shows all over the world. It's like we would do huge amounts of merch, and that was basically why we could tour with a 10-piece band.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah. Yeah. I don't know. The merch thing is, again, for the people the age of people who come out to see me, the women are the ones who buy the things. So I kind of cater to the women a little bit more, because if the women buy stuff, then the guy will kind of go, oh, well, I don't know. He's like, don't you want a shirt too? You know what I mean? But the women are the ones who buy the stuff for the most part. So I kind of make sure I have women's shirts on hand.
Cool.
Because go for it, say if they're going to buy it, then I'm going to have stuff for them.
Hell yeah.
So, but it's hard to know what they're going to want. And then sometimes you're stuck with these T-shirts and you're like, nobody, okay, now what do I do with these?
I got lots of T-shirts in my house.
Oh yeah,
lots of
I
boxes
know.
of
We could all do a
CDs.
trade. That's what we should all get together and we can all trade our old T-shirts with each other.
That's a fun idea. I would wear your T-shirt for sure.
I know.
Yeah.
We could just, have come get other T-shirts so you don't have all of your own stuck at your house.
Gosh, that's an idea for a business right
There
there.
you go.
That's a
Old merch. in
my
your basement?
my entrepreneurship brain is now firing.
You're welcome.
Yes, thank you.
can take some. I've got some T-shirts for you.
Vinyl. Have you ever thought about vinyl?
I do have vinyl. Yes,
You do have vinyl.
I do
Okay,
have
cool.
vinyl. I
Awesome.
finally sprung for vinyl. There was a sale in this whatever it was.
A print sale?
Yeah, and so I.
Was it like ADS here in town, or
No, it was what's the one online? The CD. Oh, I can't even think of the name of it right now. But it came from the Czech Republic.
Oh wow!
Yeah, because it's one of the places. There's only a few of those places, so.
Yeah, I heard that ADS in Plymouth is now doing vinyl.
Yep,
like
they are.
Copycats and ADS.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep. The price was right on this one, so I thought, well, first time out, I'm just gonna see if it sells.
Did you pre-sale? Did you do like
I did a few pre-sales.
Kickstarter, Indiegogo? What'd you use?
For the albums were separate, so I just did a pre-sale on my website for those.
Nice.
We did a Indiegogo for the record to make the record.
Yeah.
This time around, and we'd always do pretty well, but people don't have a lot of money right now either, so it's I've got a few people who always give me. They're so generous, but it was,
we need those people.
I know.
Like I was having this conversation with a buddy the other day that same show I referenced where I did 1,100 merch. I also had somebody seed the show with $1,000 and pay for the flights of the guest artists who came for the show. So it's like I could not have, without that guy, essentially covering the fees of the two guest artists and covering their flights. There's no way a show like that happens.
Yeah. No.
And I went to his house. We smoked cigars. We talked about his aloe vera plants. She's like a single guy, successful, loves jazz, and like wants to support.
Yeah.
And just gave him the opportunity to support. I think it's a tough position that we have to put ourselves in to like ask, but in a lot of ways, like the open mouth gets fed,
Some people like to be asked too.
Totally.
You know what I
people
mean?
want to be a part of the cool art you're making.
Yeah. There's a guy who sends me, he lives in Atlanta area, and just out of the blue, here's some checks.
Wow, really?
Like,
I want to support what you're doing. Here's some stuff.
Yeah, never.
Cool.
I think he saw me one time in Des Moines. He said that was So you don't know where it's going to come from.
Yeah, and you don't know who you're playing for. I mean, it's a great lesson. Like, no matter where you are,
Yeah.
no matter how many people are in the audience,
Yep. It's
put
always,
your heart out there.
Yeah, it's always touching somebody. I think that's what I struggle with the most when I'm getting down, because I have a breakdown about. If Mark was here, he could tell me. It's probably once every 2.5 weeks that I'm like, I'm done. I'm quitting. I can't do this anymore. Is what am I doing? Does this matter? You know. Does anything matter? Because then you get caught up in the Spotify and that, oh, I posted this video on Facebook and nobody saw it. Again. And you're just going, what am I doing?
Yeah.
Does anybody even care? And then you go back, and this way I try and write things down so I can be grateful. I can go gratitude. Your gratitude journals are great. Craig can be like, yes, because look at this. Look at these notes people wrote me. Look at this stuff they gave me. Look, and you have to go, and in the end, you have to do it for yourself.
Yeah.
Too. Like, are you writing and singing for you? Because, you have to do that for you.
Yep.
It blesses other people, but you have to do it because you love it.
Yes.
Right? Like, I love this song. If you love it, somebody else is going to love it too. Yeah, I think.
Totally.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So, but that's hard because you get caught up in those.
Rick Rubin talks about that.
Yeah. That's where I think I was thinking about was him, but it's so true because you can't pour out your heart and soul for everybody else and try and make everybody else happy. You have no idea what they want. You'd have to do it for you.
Right. It's a losing battle.
You'll never figure it out.
Mm-hmm.
Because it's going to change tomorrow.
Have you formed any relationships with like sync agencies or anything like that? Have you thinking about sync licensing?
I would love that. Do that if I could figure out how.
I could make an introduction.
Oh, I would love to.
I think your music would crush.
Okay, great. Yeah. I would love that. I've tried, but it's breaking in, I think, is the hard part.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah. Yeah. I'll send you a message.
Okay.
Well,
perfect. That'd be great. I think so too. This moody blues stuff, like these, you know what I mean? Like, I always say that. I'm like, this song would be perfect in a movie.
And you just have some of your choruses are just really memorable, and like you got the like background gospel choir kind of thing going on a bunch of them too.
Yeah.
I listened through all your records, so it starts to blur us together, like the 21 record, the 2018 record, the 23 record,
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, that through line of like great writing.
Thanks. Yeah.
I love Mark's doing all that slide guitar stuff too.
Mm-hmm.
Killing.
Yeah. I did the slide on Forsaken, which was a great.
Nice.
I think that's a good movie soundtrack song.
Yeah.
There's always a slide guitar, right? In a swampy scene. Come on.
Come on. Yeah, get into the new Princess and the Frog. That was like in New Orleans, the new one.
Oh, yeah.
It's like all that.
I did try Taxi this year. Are you familiar with Taxi?
I have. Remind me.
It's they send you pitches. This music editor needs indie music or pop music,
yes.
right? And then you can submit to.
Do you like pay a yearly fee to be a member of it or something?
Yeah, $125 or something
right.
a year, and then you pay per time, $25. Like if you submit.
If you submit a pitch.
But they actually write you back if you don't get it, which is
That's
nice.
Nice. Yeah.
And say, thank you for sending it. This didn't work because I'm really looking for this.
Yeah.
Which I thought was really nice.
And maybe helpful for how you kind of package things in the future. Yeah.
And because I think I just went, I don't think this really fits, but I'm going to try it anyway. You know what I mean? Like, I'm not sure. Who knows? I just wanted to try one.
Heck yeah.
And and they wrote back, and so that was nice. So I thought, well, it encouraged me to try again.
Yeah.
If they're going to actually listen to it, right?
Yep.
Because sometimes you send things, you go, did they even get it? Did they hear it?
Yeah.
Like, that's why I don't any of those songwriting things. I'm like, I think it's
like
a scam.
American songwriter,
Yeah.
American composer. Yeah. I would just cancel my membership to one of those because I've been writing a lot of songs too, and I have submitted some things, and it's just like, what am I doing?
I don't know if they're real even, or I don't know where the money's going. Yeah.
Yeah.
So I haven't even done one of those because everybody wants money, and I'm like, okay, well, I don't have a lot of that, so.
Yeah,
be a little more careful about what I'm doing with it.
Tough thing. Can't we like make money on the other people and like lift the artist up somehow?
I know.
And like that's
Here,
definitely
listen to my song. I'll give you $50.
Yeah. That's like the whole streaming model really is like we give our shit away for free and everybody listens to it. Because now starting next year, you have to have a minimum of 1,000 streams in a year-long period to get paid.
What?
Yeah, the first 1,000 streams you will not get paid now.
Oh my gosh.
So it's prioritizing. What they say is that that pool of money will get redistributed to the people who get more than 1,000 streams. So if you are able to break through, you'll get a higher pay rate. But it's taken away money from the small artists.
My gosh.
It's an interesting argument that they make for why they're doing it, but it's just depressing.
It is depressing. You know, I have gotten on Sirius. This is the other thing. I have 2 songs on Sirius XM, which actually pays.
Yeah, right. The radio thing.
Yeah. That actually pays a decent amount.
Pandora is in that same
Is it?
realm, I think.
Okay.
Of like radio.
So, but now the person who took over at Bluesville isn't taking hardly any new music on. They're playing, last week they played Aerosmith a whole bunch of times. And like, I know. And I'm going, okay, now you just took away money again from all of us who are making good music. You were playing it, and now you just refuse to take any new stuff because the new guy just is like, Again, not even trying. I don't understand. It's so hard to understand. It's like they're trying to kill us. Just was actively working against us for some reason. So the old one still gets played. The one that off the last record, Gone So Long, gets played still.
Yeah.
But nothing new, which would have been really nice because I was really hoping that, well, if they took one off the last, they should take a couple off the new one.
Got the new record coming.
Especially after it charted higher on Billboard than the other one did.
And you obviously feel like, I mean, like I anyway feel this way that like as I release more records, they get better. My writing gets more refined. It's like I'm a better artist now than I was in 2014 when they noticed such and such. And now I released this album in 2018 and nobody saw it. So this is way better than what I did in 2014. Oh, what's happening?
I know. And I pay, I do hire a publicist, and she does a great job. But she also told me, there's nowhere to send these things to anymore. Publications are going away. She said she went through her list of people she used to send things to, and she said, I didn't even realize how bad it got.
Wow.
She's, there's, once people die, nobody replaces them.
Yeah, nobody wants to be reviewing.
And there's no newspapers.
Right.
You used to be able to send it to, John's Bream's one of the only ones left that do a newspaper. Yeah,
our newspapers now are, they're not really, but social media is how people consume everything.
Yeah.
It's like,
there's not a lot
of. That's the new way.
Yeah.
It's a tough, and you're doing that. You're hiring people to edit videos. You're doing the thing. You're making music videos. You got a TikTok now. We're gonna link your TikTok in the show notes.
Oh, okay. Yep. All right.
Get you some How Musicians Make It followers.
Great. Fantastic. Yeah, I'll have to think of some more things to do. I know I had to go in and go to my daughter, my 16-year-old. I said, how do I make this background? I don't even know what I want to do. I'm just like, can you show me? Please help me. Because she's not even on there anymore because she kind of got off social media, but she knew right away. Because these kids know how to do things because they've done it their whole lives, right?
Yeah.
She's like, oh, you just do this and this and this and this and there.
Is she the one in your video?
Yes.
In Roots?
Yes.
Cool.
Yeah.
Fun.
Yep. She's a good musician. She won't sing in front of me or play in front of me quite yet. We sing together at church because we do, but that's the only time she'll really sing with me. So I'm hoping to get her out with me. I would love her to sing backgrounds in the show and stuff because she's got a great voice. So did you hear that, Annika? Yeah.
Are you listening? It's time.
It's time. Yeah. But yeah, she's really good and she's trying to teach herself some chords and guitar and piano and stuff. So
cool.
Yeah, it's fun to have your kids do it with you. Yeah.
So let's wrap it up. I have like a couple rapid fire questions.
Okay.
One, desert island albums. What are your desert, like maybe pick 3?
Oh, that's so hard. A Sam Cooke Live at the Copacabana.
All right.
One of my favorites. Aretha Franklin, Amazing Grace. Oh my gosh. It's got to be an Etta James record. Or Patsy Cline. Or how do I pick, Adam? That's what I don't know how to pick that.
Desert Island, you got to pick.
I know. I had to come up with 10 for the Desert Island show, and I could hardly do that.
Yeah.
Or Led Zeppelin. I don't know. We'll have to go with Etta, I guess. We'll have to go with that Deep in the Night by Etta James.
Nice. Love it. If you were to give advice to musicians starting out now, what would you say?
I say the thing that I said before, know your value, is to just have boundaries and decide what your value is and stick to it. Whatever that is. If it's going to be, if you want to play something for no money, make sure it has value, right? Or else decide what you're willing to crawl out of the house for and stick to that.
Yeah.
Because you have to have your priorities straight. And that way you don't get blown by the wind, because people are going to come and try and give you things and say things and do all these things.
Yep.
And you won't have a measured response. You know, take your time, think about it, decide what you're say. Then do it. If it measures up to what your expectations are for yourself, then do it. But I did not do that. I kind of got swayed with the wind at first. So I think that's really important.
Awesome. You got a tour coming up. You working on a new record?
I've got a lot of songs. I wrote so many songs in the last month, so there'll be something soon.
Awesome.
Yeah.
We'll link all your stuff in the show notes. Anybody that wants to follow Joyann on socials, on Spotify, we'll link all those things. Website. Buy some merch. Thanks.
Thank you so
Thanks
much.
for doing this.
Thank you.
Awesome. We did it.
All right.
Hey, thanks so much for listening to my conversation with Joyann Parker. If you dig the show, please follow us wherever you listen. Hit the plus sign in Apple Podcasts. Hit subscribe on YouTube under How Musicians Make It. That is what helps us continue to grow this thing. Hit subscribe so you don't miss any other great episodes. And then if you dig it, share an episode with a friend. If there's an episode you think, man, this episode's awesome, like the one that I broke down the numbers of my last show. It says breaking down the numbers of my last show, where I had my 18-piece orchestra at a mid-sized venue in Minneapolis, and we talked about ticket price, we talked about how much I paid the musicians, how much the merch cost, how much I sold in merch, how much I did in ticket sales, all that stuff. If you dig a show like that, share it with a friend so people see that this show is happening, and that's going to be the best way for me to grow this thing. So I appreciate you all listening very much, and I'll see you at the next one. Peace.